Oh my gosh, welcome. Hey, everybody. My name is Skyjack Morgan, and I am um, a guy who hates slavery and Nazis. It's weird to be only on this channel. And I know, it's a change, but I'm hoping that this will spawn a new generation, a new evolution of what we're doing with this show. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, what's up, Kathy? What's up, everybody? I figured I'm just gonna do the same thing we always do, but uh just be open to new adventures. I don't have a theme song for this one, and I don't have all of the stuff. I can't monetize this. I can't do all sorts of things that I was doing before. So it's like starting from scratch in a way, but I'm hoping that my VFFs are here and that we'll be able to make some cool things happen. You know what I mean? After all, to embrace change is to embrace life, and I'm a lover of life, so I'm a lover of change. You know what I'm saying? If you love life, you gotta love change. That's just the way it goes. It's it's literally just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm terribly sorry. I'd like to just talk about the news really quickly, that the protesters are planning large marches and rallies as Democratic National Convention kicks off in Chicago. So, of course, protesters do this at every incumbent's um, DNC, well, not just a DNC, any incumbent convention. But Kamala Harris isn't really an incumbent. She kind of is an incumbent, right? Because she's not, doesn't have the job of president, but she's running for president, but she's already in the office. So it's kind of, who knows? But I want you to know that there's also going to be a PETA protest that's going to be there. They're going to be at the DNC trying to encourage the lawmakers who are in power to hopefully change the way that NIH, the National Institutes of Health, are funding animal tests on college campuses predominantly. And I think it's great. If you want to show up at Chicago's DNC and be a PETA supporter, that would be amazing. Contact me. I would love to hook you up with the right people. We're gonna have a big mouse. Someone's gonna be dressed like a mouse who has been tested on. The mouse kind of looks like he's a big cute mouse, but he's got scars all over him. He's got he's cute, but he's gruesome. If you know what I mean. He's pretty cool looking, and maybe we'll see a picture of him soon. But I think he's pretty neat. Maybe you'll like to see him, but I don't know. Anyway, please check it out, and I'd love to get you in touch with those folks. Wish you could go there. The DNC, I wish I could go too. I'm kind of close-ish to Chicago. I'm in the West right now, but when I'm in Nebraska, I'll be kind of close to Chicago. Mm, After all, they used to push the cattle from Nebraska to Chicago to get slaughtered. That's how it used to go. Like they would raise them in the middle, and then they would push them to the stockyards of Chicago, where they had the Union packing houses, and they would slaughter millions of animals a year up there. But it's funny. It was the largest slaughterhouse complex in the world at the time, and the numbers that they were putting out, the numbers of dead animals that they were processing, were minuscule compared to what we do today. Like what they would do in a year, a modern slaughterhouse does in about a week. So it's pretty wild. I These are numbers I didn't really know until I read The Eternal Treblinka, and by Charles Patterson, and it was really a good book, and I highly recommend it. But you could go to Chicago. You want to go to Chicago? What's up, vegan enthusiast for life? I mean, like when I read that book, it was a little shocking to me that the numbers are high, and they've changed, but to think that the largest and most prolific murderers in the world in the turn of the century, a week, you'd imagine they would double, triple, but no. What they did in a year, we do in a week. That's 52 times the amount, and that's like a normal slaughterhouse. It's way more when you consider how many more slaughterhouses there are. It's pretty insane. So I figure if I were in Nebraska, I could probably make it. I think I wish I could go. I wish I could go. Too many people, not enough management, to look at the chaos of the over tourism. You know, do you feel sorry for people who live in beautiful places complaining about how there are too many tourists, clogging up their streets during the summer and all of that? Do you feel bad for them? I always wonder because, like, they're not just complaining about the summer traffic, they're complaining about the fact that people are buying Airbnbs from outside of town and then renting them out to tourists. And so it's driving up house prices. But you can make Airbnb subleases illegal. Like, get your get your government to do something about it. I'm sure the hotel consortium would support. It's weird that people complain about tourists, and if you don't like tourists, raise the tourist tax, raise the food and lodging tax, raise the yeah, there's just so many. You could do a seasonal tax on restaurants, and it would go direct. The restaurants wouldn't have to pay it. The tourists would have to pay it. There's tons of ways to handle this. They're calling it revenge tourism because people didn't go out on during COVID, obviously, and now they're like, I'm gonna get my revenge. I'm gonna go on a trip. Seems like a weird thing to call it revenge. Revenge on whom? The disease, the virus. I'm gonna going on revenge. Revenge on revenge of the virus. Revenge of the nerds on the viruses. Like what the? Okay. Do you think the question is though, seeing as how there are many options for people to curb tourism, why are the people of these some people in Barcelona are like squirting tourists with squirt guns and stuff? It's a weird thing. Like, tourism equals money, first of all. Do you not like money? It's raising the house prices. So do something about it. Like, I don't know. Punishing the tourists who are already there is a dumb idea. But there's so many things you could do where you're like, hey, we need to do something about over tourism, which I think is becoming a buzzword. Also, I thought we were in the middle of a climate crisis. Like, is everyone going on international trips right now? I thought I told you only vegans are allowed to go on international trips because they're the only ones who have a small enough carbon footprint. If you are an animal eater, that means that your carbon footprint is just out the gate like 10 times higher than a vegan. So you should be, or like, it's way bigger. It's more than 10 times, like 80 times higher than a vegan. So unless you're vegan, you shouldn't be allowed on international flights. I think that solves a lot of our problems right there. I think a personal carbon cap and trade would be incredible. Like, everybody gets the same amount. Like, this is how much carbon you're allowed to do per year. And if you exceed it, you can't buy a plane ticket, you can't drink coffee, you can't have chocolate. And so people are going to have to choose between chocolate and coffee. And also, if you're poor and you have a lot of carbon because you don't use much because you're poor, then you could sell it to Bill Gates and now he could have a private jet, or Mike Lynch, he could buy a super yacht. If you are poor and you don't have enough money to go on trips, you could sell your carbon one year to um, to Mike Lynch and he could buy a super yacht. But super yachts aren't all they're cracked up to be. I'm sorry to report that super yacht, Mike Lynch, the British tech magnate Mike Lynch, among those missing after luxury super yacht sinks off Sicily. A water spout hit his ship. It's 50 meters below the surface of the water, and they've only found a couple of the bodies, and one of them is probably they haven't found Mike Lynch just yet. If you don't know who Mike Lynch is, he's like the British Bill Gates. He's like a he's like a millionaire billionaire type. He's a rich guy. He recently just had uh, he was acquitted, but he recently just had a big court problem with because he sold his company Autonomy to Hewlett Packard and they sued him for fraud. But he got off. They extradited him to the US and everything, went through all this trouble, and then he still was acquitted. But then he went off into the water and was immediately murdered by the weather. So poor guy. There you go. But you know what? If you want a super, no one should have super yachts. But if you have a lot of money and you want to buy the carbon of poor people so that you can have a super yacht and go on fancy trips, I think that's great. Personal cap and trade. That's what I want to do. if you're a poor vegan, you're gonna have so much more carbon like your carbon footprint's so small, you can now have the privilege of being able to go on airlines. There you go. I've solved the world's problems. I just solved. Take this, you dumb air quality. Yeah, exactly. Has anyone else here seen the new Alien movie? Oh my god, everyone's talking about no spoilers, man. I want to see it. No animal flesh eating, no car. My carbon footprint is probably non-existent. That's what I mean. You don't eat animal flesh. You don't have a car. You probably are one of the people, especially as an American. You're probably one of the smallest footprinted Americans. So I think pretty good. Torrential rain here yesterday. Washed. Oh, last night here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. You know what I did yesterday? I went up to Mount Rushmore, and it was cool. I saw Mount Rushmore. I brought my drone, and there's big signs everywhere that says no drones. And I was like, fine. You know when you see a no drone sign and you have a drone and you're at Mount Rushmore, you start thinking like, how much trouble am I really going to get in if I fly this drone? It's a little drone. It's a tiny drone. Am I going to get in trouble? How much trouble are they really are they going to kill me? Are they going to take my drone? Start thinking about it. Anyway, so I ended up not flying the drone, but I was in awe. I was actually really appreciative. I went to, in this age when everyone is such a piece of crap, and you go to Mount Rushmore and you're like, oh, and it explains it. Like there's Washington because he was the foundation. He founded America. People wanted him to be emperor, and he's like, no, the sacred fire of liberty must continue to burn. There will be no kings or empires or emperors of the United States. No. And so, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. George Washington. It's kind of a cool thing to say. And then the next guy is Jefferson, another problematic fellow, but he was about the expansion of the nation. He did the Louisiana Purchase, and he did the Western March across the country. However you feel about that, that's pretty monumental thing. The next guy's Teddy Roosevelt, who really did the kind of preserve the whole nation of by creating the, what do you call it, the Panama Canal, and working for the working man. He was the first president to really stand up for the working man. Then you have um, Abraham Lincoln, who through the worst trials of America, he kept it together. He kept it together, he kept the Union all one piece. And I thought, man, this is such a cool monument now. I never understood like why these four presidents, and I didn't know like I knew that there were four faces out there and there's a big monument, and they made it with dynamite, and like I don't know. There's nothing like it in the world. There's nothing like it on planet Earth, like this Mount Rushmore. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and there's all these tourists, and I can't, there's been moments in my life where I'm like, I'm moved, and I'm beholding this miracle of this feat of engineering and an art. It's real art. Like dudes were up there with little sticks of dynamite making this thing, a dynamite sculpture. Crazy. Mm. And all these people around, and I can't tell whether they're, moved the same way I am. But I'm looking at this big, beautiful, stupid statue, and it's really quite impressive. Good job, America. And there was a thing. His name is Gutzon Holglum, something like that. I can't remember. The guy's got a weird name, the artist. And he said, a work of American art should be monumental to be a testament to our aspirations and achievements as America. And it was so cool. And then they had a video of when they showed. So they did one face at a time, obviously. So when they revealed the face of Jefferson, they had this American flag, and they took the American flag off his face, and FDR was there. And FDR, he's disabled president, so he never got out of the car, and he gave a speech from his car, and he said, we're as a generation we'll make mistakes, and as a people we'll make mistakes, And but we hope that future that our descendants will give us the benefit of the doubt, that we wanted to give them a government, a form of government that was decent, and that we were decent people and wanted to show them that we were founded by ideals that were important. And and i and i it's such a cool speech, and I'm like, where are those Americans today? How come we don't have Americans like that anymore? Where's our FDR? You know what I mean? Where's our Mount Rushmore? Like, I'm going, if you saw Mount Rushmore in the 1930s, you would think, man, by 2030, we'll have some pretty cool shit in this country. My God. We'll have some pretty incredible speech. We'll have incredible stuff happen. If we keep this up, holy shit. But I mean, I'm sure in the last 100 years we've done a lot, but I gotta say, I was moved by the monument. I thought it was pretty incredible, and it kind of made me kind of stoked to be American. It's hard to be stoked to be American these days, you know. And I loved the fact that someone like FDR is going, we're not going to be perfect, but we hope that as a generation that our descendants, and he said that 10,000 years from now, because the only thing that's going to take down this sculpture is wind and rain, so this thing's going to last for 10,000 years, and we can only hope that our descendants can give us the benefit of the doubt. God damn, it moved me, because I feel like that's all I want from most people, just the benefit of the doubt. Just give me the benefit of the doubt, man. That's all I want. Like, haven't I earned that from you? How'd they pay for the sculpture? So they kind of went into that. It was a bunch of different things. It was they got the land. First, you got to get the land, and then you had to get the dynamite and all the different. Like, it was a lot of different ways they paid for it. There were a lot of donors, a lot of local like baseball teams and shit would like play for money to raise money for the thing. There's all sorts of stuff about how they made the monument. Mm. But also, he was a famous artist at the time, right? So like, once I mean once he got the rock, once he got the mountain given to him, I think it was probably not so expensive to make. And then they showed also, it used to not be all built up. It used to be like there was just one little lookout, because people didn't have all these cars and planes and shit back then. So there's like one little lookout to go see it. Now there's an amphitheater where you can like gives concerts and shows, and there's a there's this big platform to look at it, and all 50 states, there's an avenue of flags so you can see all the 50 states. And there's one left over. I think they think Puerto Rico is going to be a state. There's one like, hey, one of these days we got room for one more. There's one empty flagpole. Um, but there's also, but Guam is there. I don't know. American Samoa is there, and they're anyway. It's not just the states, I guess. It's also protectorates, but it's cool. Uh, and instead, I got, well, like, it's not just DJT. It's all of the it's been a while. I think Barack Obama gave people a little bit of hope. It's just, I don't know. There's something, I don't know. I don't think it was a golden age or anything like that. I don't believe in that. But I feel like that dream of America that was kind of more, it was kind of more tangible back then, you know? Yeah. We were what happened to all that. Yeah, well, sure. In Canada. Last 100 years we did a lot, so we bought a ton of stuff from China. Oh god. We haven't done any big cool stuff really. I guess, America basically built the internet. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, we did some stuff, but not enough. Not enough cool stuff, I don't think. Excuse me. The excuse me. Oh my gosh. I'm sneezing because Chip decided to tell me that I have to get that I have to start tracking my protein. He says I'm not getting enough. So I went out and bought some protein powder and I'm drinking protein and now I can smell the protein powder. And I'm sneezing because of the protein powder. It's worrisome. I'm surprised. I'm going to skip AccuWeather because I don't see anything in AccuWeather that has that is related to anything interesting. But I mean, the weather forecast is not good. The planet is heating up, but it looks like it's in the 70s and 80s all around the world. So all around America, it's 70s and 80s. Nice work, AccuWeather. Thanks for telling me. But it looks like everyone is in floods. There's a lot of floods, evacuations across Connecticut, New Hampshire, or yeah, I think it's New Hampshire. Yeah, the world is flooding. Everything, student films, Dust Devils swirling. That's cool. I've seen Dust Devils before. I don't need to watch a video about Dust Devils. I'm more worried about water sprouts because, like, Michael Lynch just, I think he's dead. I'm pretty sure Michael Lynch is dead. There's no way. There's no way he's going to survive his boat being at the bottom of the ocean, at 50 meters down underneath the bottom of. He's at the bottom of the Mediterranean. So, are you? So first of all, do you feel sorry for people saying that their countries, they live in these beautiful places and it's being over, there's over tourism, and do you feel sorry for billionaires who end up at the bottom of the ocean? I feel like there's a lot of billionaires at the bottom of the ocean. I don't know. The ocean just claims us, doesn't it? I it's hard not to laugh when a billionaire ends up at the bottom of the ocean to me. Maybe I know it's callous and it's mean, but billionaires, they've spent so much money in court trying to keep all their billions of dollars, and then what happens? They end up at the bottom of the ocean. Do you feel bad for them? Do you feel bad for that Titanic kid that went down with his billionaire dad and ended up crushed like a tiny little, he was turned into pink powder at the bottom of the ocean? It's National Potato Day. Hey, look how cute. There's a little potato with a smiley face. You should eat a potato. I know as vegans, you probably, this isn't the vegan channel anymore. As a vegan, I am a potato connoisseur. I know the different types of potatoes that make great French fries. And let me tell you, Kennebec Station, good potatoes for French fries. Next time you go get some French fries, throw the people there for a loop and ask them what kind of potatoes they use. They're gonna think you're weird, but I think that's delightful. The ocean doesn't care about your money, says Jackie Boyle. No. Mm. Or maybe they do. Maybe the ocean is like, hey, you know what? Gold sinks. The ocean is proof that gold sinks, Jackie Boyle. It seems to sure it. I feel sorry for the refugees. Do you remember when they were looking for that stupid submarine with the billionaires on it for the Titanic? And at the same time, in the Mediterranean, they were looking for a ship of 80 refugees that they couldn't find, and they were assuming that these refugees were probably dead, and it was really bad. I felt for the 80 refugees. I felt really bad for. They were just looking for hope and dreams. They were just trying to work. They were looking for the dream of work. And meanwhile, off the backs of the poor stand the billionaire. And the billionaire is at the bottom of the ocean as pink powder mixing with the fish. He was so pulverized, he was getting breathed in by fish. Actually, there were no fish down there because he was so deep at the bottom of the ocean. Put all the billionaires at the bottom of the ocean, like all the tea in China, drop it in the big blue sea. I feel bad for the fish that were near the submarine. That's legit the first thing I thought about. There were probably no fish near that submarine because they're bottom of the ocean. It was so deep. By the time it crushed, it was so far down. There's almost no fish down there. They died in darkness. Nobody feels sorry for them because they decided to do it, even though they were warnings. Yeah, the warnings too. I suppose I didn't feel bad for them because You got billions of dollars. Maybe help some people, put people in apartments, you know? I feel like um in Star Trek, the Vulcan ethos is that once you have enough and your basic needs are met, you should then take to helping your neighbor and making sure that their basic needs are met. I think that that basic idea makes a hell of a lot of sense. If you have billions of dollars, your next thought should be, how do I get everyone else enough? How do I help anybody else just to have enough? But instead, they take money and go on adventures like deep sea diving to see where Jack sang the Flying Machine song to Rose in the beginning of the Titanic movie. I can't wait to see it. I want to see Titanic. I want to go see the real Titanic. Stupid. It's International Bow Day. Isn't that cute? I think ladies look cute with bows in their hair. They always put cheerleaders with bows in their hair, don't they? The bows in their hair. If you ever want to draw a cartoon and you want to make sure, do you remember like Miss Pac-Man? Miss Pac-Man, they just put a bow on her hair and then she's a girl Pac-Man. That's perfect. Put a bow in your hair today if you want to do International Bow Day. I'm going to tie my shoes in a bow today. It's National Soft Ice Cream Day. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for vegan ice cream. Of course, cream is excreted from a cow. It's extracted from the milk of a cow who wanted to feed her baby, but her baby was taken from her, and that baby's throat was slit so that you could have the milk. So I recommend getting some like coconut ice cream or some other kind of oat milk ice cream, so you don't have to kill a baby. That would be pretty cool. Happy National Soft Serve Ice Cream Day. It's also National Aviation Day. I would make sense. It's not National Nautical Day, it's National Aviation Day. Unless you work for Boeing, in that case, don't worry, don't do anything, Boeing. Boeing has just stranded people in space. Their doors of their of their airplanes keep flying off. I'm terrified every time I'm on a Boeing. I see the word Boeing, I'm terrified to get on the plane. I'm like, so you know that the name of the make and model of the airplane is on the inside of the door when you go in. I know because I'm too tall, I have to like go under the entrance of the airplane door when I go take a plane. And also, only vegans are allowed to fly. I think we established that, right? Because vegans are the only ones who have a small enough carbon footprint to give them the privilege of flight. But I see it, and the last airplane I rode, the Boeing right up there as I go in. I wanted to turn around and go out. I wanted to leave the plane, but I made it. But it gave me misgivings. Yes, I forgot Titanic was real and not just a movie. Well, that's fine. The Titanic killed lots of billionaires. Yes. Yeah. Plenty of billionaires are at the bottom of the ocean because of the Titanic. And that old boat keeps doing good work. Who knows who's living deep down in the oceans? Yeah, we don't really know who's living deep down in the ocean. Mostly tube worms, apparently. Tube worms and anglerfish and oarfish. Oarfish, tube worms, and anglerfish pretty much down there in the bottom of the ocean. Not many. Not many. They need light. Without light, you get a little lethargic. And lethargic is the vegan word of the day. Oh, it's just the word of the day. It's just the word of the day. Lethargic. You know, my friend Chip, my friend Cyprian, he told me that if I don't drink more protein, I'm going to get lethargic. And I said, I just don't eat that much. It's not that I'm not eating enough protein, it's just that I don't eat that much. And so he counted the protein, and it looks like I was getting one third of the amount of protein that I actually needed. And it wasn't because I was eating low protein stuff, I just wasn't eating. And so now he convinced me. I'm drinking my protein now. Gulp. 24 grams of protein right there. Mm-hmm. Oatly has some delicious soft serve dairy. Man, I've had a lot of vegan soft serve ice cream over the years now. It's all good. It's all really good. Yeah, it's all good. Anyway, I wasn't feeling lethargic, but he said if I ate enough protein, I would feel like a superhero. Lethargic describes people who feel a lack of energy or a lack of interest in doing things. It is sometimes used figuratively as in a sluggish and lethargic economy. Sluggish and look. I don't think our economy is sluggish and lethargic. To you? I think it's volatile and worrisome. I don't know. How do you feel about it? The jet lag from their week long international honeymoon left them feeling lethargic for a few days. I get that. I changed time zones just 1 hour last this week, and it left me feeling a little lethargic. It messes me up just 1 hour. Um, just 1 hour. I think it's because I do these shows and I wanna be there on time and everything, but it's like it messes me up with changing time zones. And I'm gonna change back in a couple days. I'm gonna go back to Nebraska, and I'll be in Central Time again. A 10-hour drive probably. After igniting a somewhat lethargic, heat exhausted audience in the fifth, baseball player Matt Olson earned further cheers in the seventh as the Braves' onslaught continued. I heard that the Braves baseball, it has the most vegan friendly stadium in Major League Sports. So that's something. Every time I see the Braves, I'm like, oh, I want to go to Atlanta. Atlanta, hot Atlanta. It's hot. It's hot in Atlanta. It's hot year round in Atlanta. It's hot. In Greek mythology, Lethe. Oh, is that why it's lethargic? Lethe, the river Lethe. Okay. All right. All right. It makes you like forget, right? Doesn't the river Lethe no, hold on. In Greek mythology, Lethe was the name of a river in the underworld that was also called the river of unmindfulness or the river of forgetfulness. I think river of forgetfulness kind of rolls off the tongue more than river of unmindfulness. What's unmindful? You like turn into you turn into Mr. Magoo, like, oh, I'm unmindful. No, the river of forgetfulness. Legend held that when someone died, they were given a drink of the water from the river Lethe to forget about their past life. Eventually, this act of forgetting came to be associated with feelings of sluggishness, inactivity, and indifference. How did that happen? What? The name of the river and the word lethargic, as well as the related noun lethargy, all come from the word lethe, Greek for forgetfulness. Huh. Weird. But I don't get why. Why would sluggishness be forgetfulness? That doesn't make maybe sluggishness of your mind. Maybe that's what it is. Like you're kind of like I'm a little forgetful. I'm a little punchy. You know, like when Rocky's like, hey, I got a little bit of a slow mind. I'm not punchy though. I'm not, I can't. I have time reading. I can't read the cue cards. I'm not a dummy though. Like in Rocky 2, it was one of my favorite things. Like he couldn't. Every time I see Rocky 2 and he can't read, or maybe it's Rocky 3, he can't read. I don't know. One of those movies, he can't read, and he can't get the money for his like sponsorships because he can't say the lines for when he wants to do his ads for like deodorant or whatever. Yeah. Mm. Anyway, lethargic minds. Maybe that's why they call it lethargic. Walking around like a zombie, lethargic. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. I feel like a sloth. You know, I always think, okay, so you ever go, I go to when I go outside and I see a lot of people, I notice a lot of them are kind of just walking around like zombies. And I'm always like, come on, chop, chop, motherfuckers, chop, chop, let's go, chop, chop. And like, I can't believe, and it's not just in cars. I understand people get a little nervous, they don't know where they're going. I'm way more patient in cars because I get And cars are dangerous. But when you're walking around at like a mall or a swap meet, or I don't know where people go, places where human beings congregate, I'm always fascinated by the fact that they're walking around just like floating through life, just like, uh, I, I just can't believe they're barely able to walk, and they look like they're just shuffling aimlessly. I always wonder what those people's lives are like when they go home. Do they cook themselves a set? What do they eat when they go home? Do they cook? Do they get Arby's and they bring it home and they eat Arby's at home alone on a little table with a tiny little light? And they I don't know. I always wonder about that. What do these people do when they go home? They're just like, it's got to be all the burgers and stuff they're eating, right? Isn't that what's slowing them down and making their brains lethargic? I think lethargy really does come from animal flesh eating. I think when people eat animal flesh and secretions, they get lethargic in their mind. I really believe that. Like, how could you? There's an Arby's, and I've been thinking about Arby's. So I drive out. I, there was this beautiful thunder thunder show last night, like lightning and thunder. Um, and in fact, it started raining like giant globules of rain as I came down the mountain from Mount Rushmore. And then I looked at the thunder the thunderstorm was just beautiful, like fireworks in the sky. It was gorgeous. And I get out of the truck, and I look at there's an Arby's kind of close to the hotel, and I see it, and I think, what kind of a piece of shit eats at Arby's? That's the first thing I thought. What kind of a piece of shit eats at Arby's? You gotta be a piece of shit to eat at Arby's. Or you must have such low self esteem to put something from Arby's into your face hole. Like, theme parks, Moby, yes. When I went alone when I was in Florida to the Universal Studios in Florida, and yeah, exactly, theme parks, like lethargic. It's weird. You love Fat Rain, Jackie Boy. I love the Fat Rain. Just plop. NPCs don't eat. Yeah, I guess they're just NPCs. Good point. Good point. They're NPCs. They're NPCs for sure. Yeah, I mean, anyway, you got to be a piece of shit to eat. And for all of you Europeans who are watching who don't know what Arby's is, it started out as like a fast food roast beef sandwich spot. It's like a McDonald's, except instead of burgers, they have slices of like slimy meats. And their slogan is Arby's, we got the meats. We got the meats is what it says on all of their advertising materials. And you gotta just hate yourself to eat there. It is particularly disgusting. It's really nasty. So I and then I started thinking, well, that's so mean to say like people who eat at Arby's are pieces of shit. Like, that's not fair, you know. That's not nice of me. Why would I think that? My first thought when I see an Arby's logo was that last night. But yeah, I can't imagine eating that and it giving you energy. It's like putting canola oil in your gas tank. Don't put canola out. What about Dairy Queen? Funny you should ask. When I was up in the town closest, it's a very, very small town, like 200 something people live there, next to the Mount Rushmore monument. There's a Dairy Queen there. So I pulled over and it said buckets of chicken flesh or something, fried chicken flesh at Dairy Queen. And so I pulled up my truck and I took a picture of the truck in front of the Dairy Queen. And everyone's looking at it, and I've got the sound of the chickens playing. Mm, so that was kind of cool. Uh, the Dairy Queen, you're right. What about Dairy Queen? It's also very disgusting. I'm sure they're celebrating National Soft Serve Ice Cream today at Dairy Queen. Always reminds me of people in Wall-E. Yes. In Wall-E, they're drinking liquefied pizza out of straws. I think that would be, yeah, lethargic. Lethargic. They're lethargic. Exactly. They're just full of lethargy. Absolutely. Um, I was gonna read. So look, Tesco is recalling vegan burgers due to burn risk from melting middle. The middle will melt on your veggie burger and burn your face. So if you're a Tesco fan over across the pond, that's more of like a British thing. Tesco, if you're eating, be careful of those vegan burgers. They got a center that'll melt your face off, like AC/DC. Total face melting situation. Be careful. Be careful when you eat that stuff, okay? Just be careful. Okay? Please. Please just be careful. I wanted to, well, I was going to say something about the Gaza peace talks. Blinken is over there, and just very quickly, I'm really hoping for peace in the Middle East, at least what counts as peace in the Middle East. And I read an article today about what's holding them up and all this. And um, so Iran and Israel have already traded fire back in April. They actually directly attacked each other and then went like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. We'll get back to hating each other and just not killing each other. So they did that. And then Hezbollah, which is directly funded by Israel, by Israel, by Iran. Iran funds Hezbollah, and Hezbollah hates Israel, and Israel just carried out assassinations inside of Lebanon. But Lebanon is not necessary. It's not technically run by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is like a state within a state. Because what happened was a long time ago, the PLO was being funded and organized in Lebanon. So Israel went to push the PLO away from its borders, and they killed a lot of people inside of Lebanon. In response, there was a group funded by Iran and kind of by Russia who decided that they were going to create their own paramilitary group. And so Hezbollah was formed. Hezbollah means something like defenders of God or some shit. I don't forget what it means, but it's something about God. But now Lebanon's government is not Hezbollah, but there's whole areas of Lebanon that are controlled by Hezbollah. And because of that, because Hezbollah is like really into religious rule and everything, their economy is crumbling. It's not good. Joblessness is rampant. Female any kind of female rights are pretty minuscule. It's not good if you're in one of the areas run by Hezbollah. And in that kind of powder keg where Lebanon has this inside group that is kind of running shit when they're not they haven't been elected. There's nothing like that. There's whole areas that they're governing. And then Israel carries out these attacks against Hamas leaders who were living in Lebanon. So now Hamas is waiting to see if Lebanon or Hezbollah starts to attack and weaken Israel. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles around the borders, both countries have evacuated. What does that mean? If you put military on the borders and you evacuate all the troops, do you think you do it for nothing? You think you do it just for saber rattling? And I'm very worried. I don't want Lebanon and Israel to go to war because it just means that we're all going to end up in a war. and I don't like it. So anyway, I read an article today about that, and you know how I feel. I'm against war, and I don't think we should be using violence to solve our problems. I'm really hoping that these peace talks finally go through. Blinken is there. There's gonna be protests at the DNC, as always, and a lot of it's gonna be about Israel Palestine. And it's sad too, because while we're all protesting about Israel and Palestine, there are other issues that won't get heard, in the screaming and fighting. In times of war, it's really hard to talk about animal rights or equal rights for women, or just a ton of gay rights. There's just a ton of shit that you can't talk about anymore when there's real war going on. It's kind of like how I felt during when the murder of George Floyd happened. Man, I shut down my vegan page. I didn't shut it down, but I stopped posting. I stopped doing any kind of vegan activism, and I was distraught. I was distraught. How do you talk about anything when you turn on the news and you see a cop killing a guy, and with a crowd of people watching? I was depressed. And I marched for BLM, well, for George Floyd protests and stuff. Not really BLM, but you know what I mean. And I just wish that we could get some of like the dumb stuff out of the way so that we can actually talk about bigger issues, big important issues. Like, it's just so stupid that we're not able to sort some of this shit out. Like, not killing each other over religion and stuff like that. You know? You like Purple Lightning? Purple Lightning is pretty cool. Chocolate rain. Slimy, disgusting, rotting slices of animal flesh. Yeah, it's disgusting. You're talking uh Arby's. Arby's is that's just like, I can't believe people. I can't, like McDonald's. You're raised with it as a kid. Like, I don't know, McDonald's, the clown, and the whole like the Happy Meal, and like they really have a psyops campaign, But Arby's, people eat that. People eat that. Holy crap! It's just it's vomit inducing. It's just really damn disgusting. Anyway, today in history, all sorts of cool things happened. The first photograph of a person happened. Huh? Huh? Louis Daguerre's daguerreotype photographic process with complete working instructions is published free to the world in Paris as a gift from the French government. How cool is that? Someone invented photography, basically, and gave it to the world as a gift from the French government. Thanks, France. The first photograph ever taken of a person. There's the person right there. He's right. Can you see him? Can you see? It's like, where's Waldo? Can you see the little guy? He's right there in the lower left-hand corner. There's one little guy down there, the daguerreotype. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Octavian, later known as Augustus, compels the Roman Senate to elect him consul. It's why we have August and October. Do you know that? He's got 2 months. 2 months. August and October. Got two different guys. And July was Julius Caesar. It's a whole thing. They kept on adding months because back in old Roman times, I don't know if you know, winter was just everything was dead. So they didn't have the names of the months in winter. They only had names of the months after winter. Isn't that interesting? I think so. Thank you. World War II, over 4,000 Canadian British soldiers are killed, wounded, or captured during the raid on Dieppe in France in 1942. 4,000 British and Canadian soldiers. Oh my God. Iran and Iraq began a ceasefire in their 8-year-old war in 1988. Iran and Iraq. There you go. Another proxy war. United States backed Iraq, and the Russians backed Iran. The USSR backed Iran, and so we had a little play war with the people we bullied around. Yeah, a bit overexposed. Yeah, you're right. The first daguerreotype, a little overexposed. Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2010 winds down as the last of the United States Brigade combat teams cross the border into Kuwait. Yep, Iraqi freedom winds down in 2010. After 7 years of fighting, 10 finally started moving away. Conservative members of the Communist Party of Soviet Union attempted to depose Mikhail Gorbachev in a coup d'état and lost in 1991. They attempted to depose Mikhail Gorbachev. Eventually, they did win, though. Yeltsin took it. Anyway, in music, Interscope Records releases the debut album of Lady Gaga 2008. I remember when 2008 Lady Gaga came out, and I thought she was going to be like the new Michael Jackson. I thought she was going to be the biggest. People called her the new Madonna. I thought she was going to be the new Michael Jackson, but you know, didn't work out that way. She wore a meat dress, and I'll never forgive her. She wore a dress made of meat, and I'll never forgive her. It's Coco Chanel's birthday. Coco Chanel, Chanel number 5. What do you wear to bed? You ever seen Vita Bella? What is it? Not Vita Bella? Dolce Vita. The Dolce Vita, such a good movie. And they ask her, um, what do you sleep in? What do you wear to bed? And she says, 2 drops of French perfume. Fuck it. I just think it's so funny. 2 drops of French perfume. After the war, Chanel relaunched her couture house, competing with the likes of Christian Dior. Her innovations for women's fashion, including making sportswear acceptable, the famous Chanel suit, and the modern perfume Chanel number 5. Numéro 5. Non 5. Chanel, she began her career as a milliner. She made hats and opened her first shop in 1910. There you go. Coco Chanel. Chanel. She died in 1971. I always wonder why we still worship people who made fashion. Why do these fashion houses exist? Get rid of them. Make your own fashion. I always like it when people make their own thing. Like if Joe Schmo started a new fashion house, I like that. Like someone who started like Stussy, like Stussy could go the way of the dodo now, but like in the 80s, that was so cool. 80s and 90s. It was super cool back in the day. Orville Wright, as of the Wright brothers, he invented the airplane with his brother Wilbur. And Bill Clinton was born today. Bill Clinton, calls himself a vegan, but he eats fish on Christmas. But he almost died. He had horrible heart disease and he had heart attacks and stuff, and he was going to die. But now he's plant-based and he's alive. So I give him the benefit of the doubt on the birthday. I hear that he eats fish on Christmas, but I'm still going to wish Bill Clinton a happy birthday. He's one of those guys that does push the idea of plant-based health. And even though I'm not a plant-based health guy, I appreciate people like Bill Clinton out there trying to, at least popularize the idea that it's a healthy alternative to this sad American diet, the standard American diet. He probably used to eat Arby's. He grew up probably eating Arby's down in Little Rock, Arkansas. I've been to Little Rock, Arkansas, and let me tell you, Little Rock is filled with Arby's plate. Little Rock is not a place where you're going to find a lot of like plant-based eateries. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there wasn't one. There was like I ate out of food trucks when I was there. There were 2 food trucks, and I went to supermarkets. Little Rock, Arkansas. The fact that he's doing that, I think, is pretty cool. Yeah. Weren't hat makers generally mad from mercury? Maybe in the 1800s, but that was a long, 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 long time ago. That's like before Chanel, before Coco Chanel. Chanel. Coco Chanel. I think that's how she probably said her name. What's your name? Chanel. Look how she over her shoulder. I need a photo of me doing that. What do you think? I need to get some photos taken. I can remember this face. It's not going to look like this very much longer. I'm going to be old and nasty here pretty soon, riddled with dementia, getting brain surgery pretty soon. It's going to happen. President of the Philippines, the second one, Quezon. There you go, Quezon. Not like Kazons from Star Trek, but Quezon. Charles Hires. He was an entrepreneur and the guy who invented root beer. Hires root beer, which he introduced in Philadelphia's Centennial Exposition in 1876, became a widely popular beverage in the United States and eventually around the world. Root beer. Supposedly, people in Star Trek Academy love root beer. American human beings love root beer. Do you like root beer? I haven't had a root beer in a long time. I never drink it because it's always like, wait a second, there's no caffeine in it. Why hasn't anyone ever put caffeine into root beer? Why is there no caffeine in root beer? I never understood that. Is it because I don't get it? I don't get it at all. He discovered an herbal tea recipe on his honeymoon, and intrigued by the potential of the drink, he refined the formula, eventually developing a mixture of herbs, berries, and roots that he began to market as a healthy and delicious beverage. Step right up; it'll cure what ails you. It'll make your hair grow back, turn your red lights into green lights. He was a snake oil salesman. Hires' innovative use of advertising played a significant role in the success of his root beer. He is often credited with being one of the first to use large-scale advertising campaigns. He died at the age of 85 at 1937. He was born today. The inventor of root beer. Do you like root beer? I kind of like it. I just wish it had caffeine in it. Christina Perry. Matt Perry was born today? Oh, no. I don't know if you heard. If you read the account of Matt Perry's last month where people are injecting him with ketamine, he was on a prescription ketamine, and he was paying thousands of dollars to drug dealers, and his personal assistant kept injecting him with it. And then he said, give me one big fat dose and leave me alone. And so his friend did, his personal assistant injected it into him. What kind of a dick? I'm sorry. You can't inject your own ketamine. Like, why are you having other people inject your ketamine? That's like, it's so nasty because now that poor bastard's going to jail, There's people who are going to jail because Matt Perry paid them to inject him with ketamine. And part of me is like, sure, put all the drug dealers in, I don't know, put all the doctors in jail who keep prescribing this stuff, or I don't know how I feel. Like, they kept on selling him all of these drugs, but his personal assistant had to do it all for him. He scored for him and he did all this. Anyway, he died in a jacuzzi a couple years ago now. Poor Matt Perry. 5 people have been indicted in his murder, and I don't know. We'll follow the story, I guess. See if they get any convictions. Matt Perry. He was an addict, and he died of addiction. It's Christina Perry's birthday today, and I don't know who that really is. Jar of Heart, 3 million copies. Twilight Saga. Oh, okay, that makes sense. She's famous because of Twilight, the sparkly vampires. But you know who I really like is Gene Roddenberry. It's Gene Roddenberry's birthday, everybody. May the force be with you. The Gene Roddenberry, of course, invented Star Trek, a show that was way ahead of its time, who incorporated people of different genders and colors, races into positions that they, at that point in 1960, whatever, weren't. That was impossible for those people to hold those positions of rank. And he also addressed the problems of the day through investigating the characters' own biases as they attempted to solve philosophical conundrums. And that, I think, is the magical thing about Star Trek. And I'm a huge fan. I'm a big fan of Gene Roddenberry. Even though I know he was a little bit of a perv, he was supposed to be a pretty incredible guy. American screenwriter and producer. Oh, and I Love Lucy. Lucille Ball also thought it was cool and made it happen. They only went 3 seasons, but they made it a worldwide phenomenon that will last probably long after we're all gone. They'll still be making Star Trek shit. Served as a pilot in the Army Air Forces in World War II, completing many combat missions. He survived plane crashes while working as a commercial pilot, and he transitioned from aviation to the Los Angeles Police Department, where he began writing for television. He included Highway Patrol and Have Gun Will Travel were his early writings. He developed the idea for Star Trek, leading the show's premiere 2 years later, despite early struggles with acceptance and rating, and it grew to films and everything else. He didn't get his star in the Walk of Fame until after he died. That's a bummer, but still, he passed away in 1991. I remember it was sad. And Roddenberry's collaborations extended to figures like Nichelle Nichols and Majel Barrett, who was his wife, and he shared ideas with Isaac Asimov. Yeah, pretty cool, right? I think so too. Anyway, that's it. It's his birthday today. That's pretty cool. He died at the age of 70. And the only people who died today, Jean-Baptiste Bousdelorme, Linus Pauling. Oh, it's Groucho Marx death day. Okay, well, I mean, come on. Groucho Marx, one of my favorite comedians of all time. Groucho Marx, how do you not love a face like that? So picture a beautiful picture I never saw. Should have framed it. Yeah. Groucho Marx. Everyone loves Groucho Marx. Don't you love Groucho Marx? Mm. If you don't like Groucho Marx, I don't know what to tell you. Watch Duck Soup. It's amazing. Watch anything. Just Google on you. Just put in YouTube the Marx Brothers and watch 10 minutes of it. It's brilliant. He did some of my favorite stuff, especially the Sanity Clause is my favorite. I love Sanity Clause. It's a tiny little 5-minute segment where he and his brother Chico are talking about contracts. And I find it hilarious. I don't know if you will, but I love it. What's not to love? I know. Groucho Marx, a brilliant guy. Also, the nose and the mustache, that comes from him. The nose and the mustache and the glasses, that's Groucho Marx. They're still using it. Look at that. Like everything from, Humpty, Shang-Chi, Digital Underground, the disguise with the glasses and the nose, the stash, that's him. They're making him jokes. It's still going on. People still use his visage, his likeness. It's never going away. It's part of our culture forever. Groucho Marx. He died today, probably of pneumonia. At the age of 86, though, he lived a good long time. Beyond his work with his brothers, Groucho had a successful solo career, most notably as the host of the radio television game show You Bet Your Life. That was crazy. He was on a radio and television show. And when I say radio and television show, it was the first radio and television show. It was going out on the radio and on television at the same time. It was the first one. He was also an author, writing several books. I've read all of his books. Groucho and Me, 1959, and Memoirs of a Mangy Lover in 1963, as well as friend of literary figures such as Carl Sandburg and T.S. Eliot. It's kind of funny. Carl Sandburg, one of my favorite all-time poets. Carl Sandburg wrote one of my favorite poems. Carl Sandburg poem. Oh my God. Let me see if I can find the Carl Sandburg. Carl Sandburg. It's called Fog. Yes. Carl Sandburg wrote Fog. Okay. This is the whole poem. Fog by Carl Sandburg. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. It's one of my favorite all-time poems. Carl Sandburg was part of the Chicago Renaissance and changed the way people looked at poetry. He's also one of those guys, he said that, the art and literary movements of America should happen from the heart of the country. And he basically, Chicago was the place. And him and Edgar Lee Masters and a few other prominent artists and writers did a Chicago thing. And it was pretty badass. Carl Sandburg. It's a good poem, right? And he was friends with Groucho Marx, but Groucho was also friends with T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot wrote Cats, a Broadway musical that he didn't write it as a musical, but he also wrote The Wasteland. He was also an anti-Semite, and he and Groucho became incredible friends, which I find so weird because Groucho was very, very Jewish, and T.S. Eliot was very, very anti-Semitic, and kind of a Hitler supporter. Fascism was popular, it's product of their times. They're like, this seems like a good form of government. Anyway, ugh, T.S. Eliot, kind of a fascist, but friends with Groucho Marx, like comedy, poetry, coming together, forming strange bedfellows. So weird. Mount Marksmore. Now that would be cool. That would be cool. Mount Marksmore. Let's do that. Groucho, Chico, Harpo, and Zeppo should be the new Mount Rushmore. They should be. Yeah, you can forget about Zeppo. No, Zeppo's great too. Everyone loves Zeppo, right? Everyone forgets about Zeppo. But yeah, Zeppo, he didn't stay with the act for as long as everybody else did, but they were start out in vaudeville. Anyway, I could talk all day about this guy, this Groucho Marx. He was my favorite Marx Brothers next to Karl Marx. Karl Marx was my favorite, but Groucho was my second favorite Marx brother for sure. That's the end of the show. I hope you all have a better day than Groucho Marx. We're still going to end the day with a poem of the day, which is by Nikki Giovanni. And I remember when I was studying poetry and writing poetry, I've been, I'll just mention again that I've been nominated for Pulitzers and Pushcarts, and I've never won, but I have two books, and they were both nominated, but I remember I hated Nikki Giovanni. I always hated Nikki Giovanni, and she's the poem of the day. So I think that's kind of fun. Let's see what what she's got in store for us. Dreams by Nikki Giovanni. In my younger years, before I learned Black people aren't supposed to dream, I wanted to be a Raylette and say, drowned in my own tears. Or talking about, or Marjorie Hendricks and grind, all up against the mic and scream, baby, night and day, baby, night and day. Then as I grew and matured, I became more sensible, and I decided I would settle down and just become a sweet inspiration. This is from a book called Dreams. It's called Dreams, from Black Feeling, Black Talk, Black Judgment, copyright 1968 by Nikki Giovanni. Everyone thinks Nikki Giovanni's great. I've never been a fan, but I thought that was pretty good. Did you like it? Come on. Baby Night and Day, Baby Night and Day. She's got kind of like an Ezra Pound. Not Ezra Pound. Like an E.E. Cummings type of vibe, like Baby Night and Day, Baby Night and Day. It reminds me of E.E. Cummings. But yeah, Black people aren't supposed to dream. I wanted to be a Raylette and say, drowned in my own tears. I think I need to know the songs that she's singing, but I don't know the song. Or Marjorie Hendricks and grind all up against the mic and scream. Yeah, I just become a sweet inspiration. I like the ending. Nikki Giovanni. Do you like Nikki Giovanni? What'd you think? What do you think? You never saw? Oh my God, I've never seen that emoji either. Groucho Marx emoji. There you go. There's a Groucho Marx emoji. And people don't even know who Groucho Marx is. That's what I'm saying. People don't even know who Groucho Marx is. And he's an incredible inspiration to us all. He's a sweet inspiration. And Nikki Giovanni's a sweet inspiration too. Thanks for the poem, Nikki Giovanni. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thank you to, we don't have moderators. Weird. This whole thing is weird being on this channel exclusively. If you're on, I'm still doing the Facebook and the Twitch on Vegan, of course, but I hope you liked the first episode of Morning Sky. That's what we call it, Morning Sky. I think that's kind of nice because this is me in the morning time. This is what I look like. My bags are still showing. My face hasn't quite tightened back up from being asleep. I'm drinking my protein powder and drinking coffee in the morning. This is what I look like in the morning. This is how I look before I shower and shave. This is just how I wake up. And you know what? I like honesty. I like authenticity. This is the real deal. This is what I look like. I'm sorry. Make me a mod. I'll make you a mod, Benji, when I have the time. I can't do it from StreamYard, but I'll do it. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and thank you so much. Share this, like it. Don't forget to like the video. It helps. Subscribe. Do all the things that you're supposed to do. And, What do you think? Never had one lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you liked the stylophone rendition of that, and thank you, Nancy Leanne Russell. You have a nice day too. Thank you so much for being here. Sky, have you considered changing the VOC channel name instead of being on this channel? You can still reach your subscribers on VOC without having to switch over. Mm. What do you think, Has Vegan? What do you think we should do? I'm experimenting right now. I have thought of that, but man, I kind of like having a little spot that's just for me and the vegans, you know? You know what I mean? A little spot that's just for me and the vegans. I like that for now. I started the whole YouTube journey. Where's my journey card? I started the whole YouTube journey because I wanted to serve my vegan community. Um, but what do you think, Has Vegan? Vegan, of course, is a channel for vegans. Skyjack Morgan is for whoever stops by, you know? I don't know. Maybe I should be selfish and do that. I don't know. I feel selfish. I would feel selfish if I just changed the name to from vegan, of course, to Skyjack Morgan. I feel a little selfish. But well, what do you think? That's the question. I would make more money if I did it that way, I suppose. A couple more dollars. Skyjack can be a channel for vegans. Can it? I don't know. Are you going to go? You're in Chicago. Are you going to go to the DNC and do the PETA protest? I'll send you an email. Has Vegan. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Be selfish. You do enough. You think I should change the name from Vegan, of course, to Skyjack Morgan? I don't know. Vegan, of course, is like my little baby. I don't know, guys. Is that what I should do? Maybe that's what I should do. I guess maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. If you think that's what I should do, maybe I should do it. I'll put it in the the journey card. Yeah, exactly, journey card. You let me know what I should do. I don't know. But I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. I don't know what I should do. God damn it. It has, I don't know. Skyjack can be a channel for vegans. Can it? It's a full moon. Don't make stupid decisions. Thank you, Platoyed. I kind of like having the vegan, of course, and the Skyjack Morgan. You know? I can have two channels. I can have one Skyjack Morgan and one vegan, of course. And the vegan, of course, can be first live here. Exactly. Thank you, Anthony. Vegan, of course, can be only vegan stuff. I was thinking, like, with vegan, of course, I can do more animal stuff. I could do cute animal videos. I could do all sorts of stuff about animals. And then Skyjack Morgan can be more about my travels and my music and all the other stuff I want to do, you know? Yeah. I love vegan, of course, and Skyjack Morgan. Thank you, vegan enthusiast for life. I appreciate that. Thank you. You like having both channels, right? I doubt your vegan subscribers would unsubscribe if you posted some non-vegan related content. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. But also, I kind of like having vegan, of course, be like a safe space for our community. And that's not like, I like that at vegan, of course, I'll straight up just ban non-vegans, you know? And with Skyjack Morgan, maybe I wouldn't ban a non-vegan, you know? Maybe I would try to outreach a non-vegan on maybe I would outreach a carny on Skyjack Morgan, but on vegan, of course, I don't want to do outreach. I just want to do a show for vegans. I just want to talk with vegans, you know, and have a community for vegans. It's a different vibe, you know? Anyway, I wish we could have membership on here too. Soon enough, Anthony. We'll figure that out. We'll have it. We'll get some subscribers. Share the videos from Skyjack, and then we'll get there. I see where you're coming from. Ultimately, it's up to you, Sky. Yeah, well, it's up to the community more than anything. It's not just up to me. I want to serve the community in the way that is beneficial, and I hope that people will. I hope that people will appreciate my service to the community and will support the channels. And I hope that you'll like what we're doing. Maybe one day we combine them. I don't know. But for now, I kind of like keeping them separately. I like having a safe space for vegans. I'm vegan, of course. Yeah, you like that too? Yeah, like, because here, I like having, like, mods and everything, and if a non-vegan comes in talking shit, we just axe him or get rid of him. I love that. But on Skyjack Morgan, that's a different vibe, you know? Yeah, keep both, please, says Sky. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. For now, that's what we're going to do. And we've talked about it a lot, so that's what's going to happen. Also, if you like those travel ones where I'm driving across the country, it's going to be on this channel. So please subscribe. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. I love your faces so much, and I hope that you'll be cool. Have a great day. Go out there and raise some hell, would you? Thank you so friggin' much for being here. Thank you.